Hello and a very warm welcome to Weigh In. Coming up on the show today, Bonaforza provided a hard-earned thrill for Ace Lawson Carroll on his road to recovery. We travel the country assessing the rest of the undercard races from Otaki and Riccarton. Ahope's Oaks, New Zealand's Trans-Tasman Queen of the 2400 metre Classic, is yesterday crowned. Tough, tenacious and with the Waterhouse bot polish, Sir Delius takes the 2026 Queen Elizabeth. All of that and so much more coming your way on Weigh In this morning. As you can see, Guy Havelt not with us today. Aidan Rodley joining me on the panel. And we've got Jayne Ivil obviously in the studio at Wellington. We'll say good morning to her shortly. Aidan, a great weekend of racing here in New Zealand shores and of course across the Tasman. Day 2 of the championships, I think, provided some surprises, but also some good horses on display. Yeah,
wasn't it great to see Ahope wins carry that New Zealand Oaks form over to Australian Oaks win. I think the fourth horse to have done that in the last decade. Well, obviously, Sophia Rosa. It was first past the post in the New Zealand Oaks and relegated. But, yeah, fantastic to see that. Great for Sir Owen Glenn to see Sir Delius back to his best. And I thought the domestic racing was terrific. I really enjoyed the racing through from Riccarton yesterday and saw some high-quality performances from Otaki too. So we'll look forward to assessing those.
We sure will. Jayne Ivil, you're part of our coverage this morning as well. Looking forward to your assessment of those races. And I know, as a fan of Australian racing, you are no doubt glued to the TV for that day 2 of the championships.
Yeah, incredibly had a lot of enjoyment watching racing out of Australia yesterday. As you mentioned, there probably were a few surprises, but fantastic to see the Kiwis on the big stage again. Waikato start, of course, with Ahope wins in Ocean Park, Sir Owen Glenn and those colours on Sir Delius, and the reign that Chris Waller and James McDonald continue to have over racing in Sydney is just phenomenal. But I thought there were some really great results domestically in New Zealand as well, and for me, Platinum Attack was probably a highlight of those. I think he's probably a galloper now that we're seeing sort of reaching his potential.
Yeah, certainly looks that way, doesn't it? We'll get into that Australian action a little bit later on, but for now, let's sink our teeth into reviewing the New Zealand racing. We start at Riccarton with the listed NZB Insurance Stakes.
It is the NZB Insurance Stakes. I think this could be the most competitive of our features. Runner number 6, Bonaforza, a completely different form reference to consider here.
12 months ago, this horse was on debut and winning here in the Welcome Stakes with Ace Lawson Carroll aboard.
She's a must-have here, Bonaforza. Proven at 1600, proven at a very high level as well, whereas some of the others aren't. She's at a very backable price. Set to race, the next of our features, the quaddie starter here at Riccarton Park. Set, and they're racing. Miss Starlight went to the front, 2 lengths clear, Bonaforza, then Miss Ziggy and Perlino, the leader Miss Starlight, Bonaforza's brave, Bonaforza on the outside, moved up to Miss Starlight, and Bonaforza goes home the winner. 12 months on from her Vulcan Stakes winner is now the NZB Insurance Stakes winner.
She's been exceptional and she just loves this race day. Last year as a 2-year-old, this year as a 3-year-old. She's won at stakes level on both occasions.
Yeah, she really does seem to like coming down here to Christchurch. She's just developed, actually. We always thought she'd be a bit of a sprinter, but she's kind of turning more into a miler the further we go.
Well, this is a good family affair winning this one, isn't it?
Yeah, we're all in it, and the owners are amazing. Like, this is such a last-minute decision to come down here because they're going to get a firm track, and they all don't mind coming, and, you know, it's just thank you so much to them. Brilliant ride by Ace. He gave her a great ride last year, another great ride today.
Yeah, very satisfying. The long 8 months been off makes it all worth it, being patient and taking myself slowly. You know, with a lovely run, we obscured that 3 wide, but we had cover the whole way through. She just travelled along nicely for me, and when things started amping up, she picked up the gear and pressed the button to go. She definitely picked up and went. We obviously won the Welcome Stakes, and today she's come out and proven herself again to be a relatively pretty good horse. I think they've got some very high hopes for her heading over the ditch maybe, but I'd like to stick with her if she stays here.
Well, some of the biggest successes for Bonaforza have come at that Riccarton track. And as you can see, we welcome in Ace Lawson-Carroll to weigh in this morning. Ace, hugely well-deserved victory yesterday at Riccarton. And has it all sunk in? You must be pretty chuffed with how yesterday unfolded.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. Really happy with how things planned out. Just really grateful for the ride as well.
One thing, Ace, you were down there last year to ride on the Welcome Stakes, so it's now, what, 2 stakes races, both of them at Riccarton on this filly. Do you really gel with her? What's that relationship like with you and the horse?
I'm not too sure because I've only had 2 rides and they've obviously been winning rides, but I must be doing something right on her. She's got some turn of foot though for a horse that looks to get over ground. By the way she raced yesterday, she settled beautifully through wide with a bit of cover, and yeah, I really like her and I really like the way she's going at the moment. She's definitely a horse I'd like to stick with.
Yeah, she looks like a real tough little mare, Ace, and you're certainly getting the results aboard her. How special did it feel yesterday, given that obviously you had a lengthy period out of the saddle to get back into the winner's circle?
Yeah, thanks, Jane. It was really good. Really satisfying, actually, because it was a long time off, and just having everything click and everything go my way yesterday, it all just planned out really good.
Can you just take us back? I know probably not a moment you want to go back to, but can you take us back to the fall and the injury that you've incurred and what you've had to go through over the last 9 or 10 months to rehabilitate and get back into the saddle?
Yeah, well, it's probably so. I don't really remember much of the day. Had I hit my head really pretty hard as well. It was pretty scary when I woke up in a hospital bed. Was told I wouldn't be able to ride again. Obviously defied those odds, and yeah, rehab wise, I just constantly going to see the physio and just doing a lot with my legs. I lost a lot of movement with my left hip. I've had that replaced, and yeah, I've actually had 3 operations on it, including my shoulder. But yeah, it's been a long road.
How have you sort of kept the motivation up, Ace? Obviously, when it happened, you were gaining lots of momentum as an apprentice, and then it sort of all stopped short, obviously, with the injury. But how have you sort of built the momentum and got the confidence back to be where you are today?
I'm someone with a lot of confidence already, so I never really lost it. I was more eager, really, when everything did happen. I was more eager to get back out there, and especially being told I wasn't being able to ride again, that really gave me a kick to get going and try and prove everyone wrong.
What's that process been like, the recovery? Because even now we see you sort of, there's a slight limp, isn't there? What does the future look like for, how do you get back to full fitness?
Yeah, I'm far from being fit, especially prior to my accident. I was pretty fit back then. I think just taking everything slowly without rushing myself into the swing of things again, and just, yeah, biding my time, looking after myself, and knowing when to press buttons and not overdo myself, I think, is the key as well, and just taking everything slowly.
Ace, tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up as an apprentice. So what was your sort of beginning in terms of riding and horses?
Well, I grew up on the East Coast, done a lot of pig hunting, deer hunting on horses and stuff. I've always had a passion with horses. And when moving up to Auckland with my parents, we ended up meeting Sean Clotworthy, who's my boss. Yeah, since then I've never really looked back, and I've always sort of found that riding horses has been my happy place. I find it like therapy as well. It's something I can always ground myself with.
Ace, by listening to you talk, you do have a real passion for racing and a real drive, and that's pretty evident given the injuries you occurred and that you've been able to make it back into the saddle. But a couple of weeks back into race riding, how is the body feeling and how are you holding up?
Yeah, pretty good, Jane. Touch wood, everything still goes that way. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, like really good. Just more eager to get out there and get going again, or otherwise just taking it slowly at the same time.
Ace, you mentioned your boss, Sean Clotworthy, and I know that he would have been a huge support to you over the past sort of 18 months or so. Just tell us about that relationship and how that's helped and shaped you.
Yeah, really good. He's been a really good figure in my life, like a father figure to me. He's helped me out with a few tough situations as well, and he's always been someone I can turn to when I need help with anything, whether that's my riding career or things in general. He's definitely someone I hold up there and look up to.
Ace, I guess the win yesterday is very timely because we're building into the winter period where apprentices can really come to the fore and you can gain that momentum that you had from previous seasons. So what is next on the horizon? No doubt the winners to keep coming.
Yeah, definitely the winners to keep coming. I'd like to just aim for stakes races and group races throughout the winter and just try and re-establish myself again. And also, while doing that, try and create some new relationships with trainers.
Well done. Huge acknowledgement to you, credit to you, the path that you've taken back to recovery and very well-deserved victory yesterday. Thank you so much for coming on the show this morning and best of luck with the rest of the season.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, awesome to chat to Ace this morning. And when you hear about the injuries, and I've broken my femur myself, I know the significance of that and the impact it can have. But that accompanied with a hip replacement and the other operations that have gone with it, huge amount of respect to have got back where he is. It would have been very well-deserved and satisfying win yesterday.
And not just the physical side. Anything that comes with a race fall is that mental side as well. It's got to take a hit on confidence. But you hear from him there, and as Jane said in one of her questions, he does have a real passion for it. You can just comes through, and geez, he's formed a terrific relationship with his Bona Forza, and you know she was very good, but under a great Ace Lawson Carroll ride. And one thing, just having communicated with Samantha Finnegan, she said the ride was beautiful and it was a key part of winning the race.
I'm sure it was. Let's go back and reassess that race once again for the 3-year-olds. And Jane, we'll bring you in at this point. Obviously, as we've heard, it was a very well-judged ride by Ace Lawson Carroll, and no doubt there's some runs in behind that we need to touch on.
They did a terrific job with her. She was wide but had cover, and just momentarily in the early stages, it looked like she did want to just get on the chewier touch. Very, very quickly he came back underneath of her, and as we heard from Ace, relaxed beautifully, and because of that she was able to show a pretty good turn of foot. She's run the fastest last 4 and 200 metre sectionals of race, and he mentioned that turn of foot for a horse that might get over a little bit of trip, so it's a great attribute for her. There were a couple of nice runs in behind. Miss Starlight, of course, we know her quality. She doesn't often go a bad race. Miss Ziggy, again, we saw a usual run from her. Unfortunately, with her racing pattern, she gets a long way off them. It was a sustained sprint to the line. She closed in the fastest last 8 and last 6. So there's always credit to her. Unfortunately, she doesn't win out of turn, but she's a smart mare that, again, always goes a pretty honest race. But look, all in all, I think Bonza Force has come back a little bit better this preparation. She really did need to strengthen up off the back of her 3-year-old campaign, and I saw her at Trentham several weeks ago, and she looks like she's taken really nice physical development into this preparation. So hopefully she can continue to fly the flag for the Finnegan stable.
Interestingly, just as I said, have been in touch with Samantha Finnegan this morning. They won't press on towards the wall step. Said that Bona Forza has really come through the race well, but they'll now check out Australian options and see where through from there. Just looking at the race again, like, I was so taken by the run of a horse who we thought may have been a little bit vulnerable at 1,600 metres, the second horse home, Miss Starlight, who did a lot of work early from barrier 15 in a race that was clearly favouring the swoopers. Of the first 7 in running, only 2 of those have finished in the first 6. She's finished second after being, I thought, a terrific run. The other one was Cash LeBay, it was Eternal Light, who's kicked on really well after being in that wide train. But there was a horse in the wide train that's had Bona Forza in behind, and even Perlina, who's close in the second quickest last 200 of the race, into third as well. And we did get an update from Sam Burgess and Purlino will head to the Warstep Stakes, and I'm picking that most of these will, and it'll be a bit easier without the winner being there now as well.
Yeah, sure will be. Riccarton's been a happy hunting ground, hasn't it? Stick with us here on Weigh In this morning. We're going to take a break. On the back of that, we continue with our review of the undercard races across both meetings.
Enchantment's packing plenty, and Enchantment will win the Welcome Stakes.
Yeah, really stoked to get a black type win on her CV and hopefully onwards and upwards.
Couple of big bounds. The City of Napier sprint is all over. How good was that? Platinum Attack.
Man, when he gets it right, this horse, I love watching him flow because he is just something to behold.
It's been competitive all season. He's not run a bad race.
The big boy Crouch. Crouch is galloping away with the Hawke's Bay Cup, dominant in the finish. Oh, he's deserved a good staying race, this horse.
Toahaka led Stony Brick. Sir Elbert's roaring. Toahaka, Sir Elbert, it's Toahaka. Toahaka is going to cling on and win the TAB Southern Alps Challenge number 12.
Yeah, it's been an amazing week and that just topped it all off.
Awesome scenes from around the country, as you saw there. A huge weekend for Amber Riddell. We'll get to that a little bit later on. We'll start with the Welcome Stakes. It was the 2-year-old contest, and Enchantment obviously successful in this one. And Jane, I really thought a credit to Enchantment because they came with those late challenges, but she just found that extra gear and a very valuable addition to the pedigree page.
Well, she was able to jump and put herself in the race, which is just gives you so much of an advantage, particularly in 2-year-old races. And although she lay out in the home straight, she still had enough of an advantage to get the job done. So still a little bit green, still learning, but a great black type on her pedigree page. I thought there were a couple of really nice runs in behind. I know Never Too Much was a bit slow out of the barriers, but I thought it was to his benefit. He'd been ridden a little bit closer on speed last start, and he certainly didn't finish the race off like he did yesterday. Actually broke 33 for his last 600 metres, so Never Too Much certainly a horse to follow. Final Time, another one as well, who did things right on debut and won. Raced a little bit greenly down the chute yesterday at Riccarton. He was a bit exposed and did a few things wrong. So I think there are a number of horses that you can follow out of this race with a little bit of confidence. But Aidan, how terrific is it to see the colours of Seamus Mills here in New Zealand? He's a renowned bloodstock agent in Victoria, and they only paid $60,000 for this filly. And he's been involved with some wonderful horses over the years: Charmstone, Odium, Daisies, Night Raid, Root. So great to have his colours racing in New Zealand.
Yeah, you miss my very first purchase, which was a broodmare, which he'd sold, and I know he was doing a lot of work for key stables out of Melbourne at the time. But yeah, my first broodmare purchase was one that Seamus actually owned as well. So great to see that through with Enchantment. Might have been a little bit tough on Never Too Much from last time because it was really pocketed, just didn't get a chance, and did close off well again. Obviously, just not well enough to pick up the stablemate though. Both horses heading towards the Champagne Stakes is the word from Sam Burgess, which you've kindly got for us, 2M. So they'll both be competitive there. They look like they've taken improvement. And I agree around Final Time, Jane's assessment there. She looks so promising. She's just going to get better and better with racing, and Mum was a good one. I think she might be on the way to being one too. Yeah,
she's just raw, isn't she? There's lots about her, but it'll just be a matter of putting it all together. The richest race on the card out of Riccarton was, of course, the Southern Alps Challenge, and it provided a real thrill for Amber Riddell and all of the connections. A lovely front-running ride secured this, and it was a tough performance by Toahaka in the closing stages, Jane.
She rode the track perfectly, Amber. I think for the most part during the day there at Riccarton, being on speed was certainly beneficial, and she rated the horse to absolute perfection. You mentioned the family affair, trained by David Walsh and owned by Brendan Hewlett, so I'm sure there were some terrific celebrations last night given those connections. But he's definitely a horse that's gone from strength to strength. We saw him pick up a win during the carnival down there at Riccarton, and he's picked up the 7th win of his career and just over $350,000 in prize money. So he's certainly been an excellent horse. But look, I thought just rode perfectly, rode to suit the way the track was playing.
I thought the track played really well. Obviously, we have seen the quicker sectionals out of the race for the 8th and 9th place horses, maybe Diva and Matt Scott, but did have to do some early work to get across. But then she's been able to sit and play it beautifully. I had tried to get hold of David Walsh, and I've just missed a call from him as we're going here this morning. But yeah, as Jane said, maybe that's the reason why I couldn't get him earlier on. He was part of those celebrations that Jane was mentioning. But it was a really good, strong win. And congratulations to Amber. What a week she's had. We had her here on weigh-in last week. She's a breath of fresh air. And obviously since then she's been to Brisbane, had a good time over there as well. But, yep, great for her to get that $350,000 race. Great for David Walsh and Toahaka, who he's really handled well. There were some pretty handy runs in behind them as well. Just looking through, Sir Robert, who came from a mile back, was terrific. Betty Spaghetti the same. Stony Breck was a little bit closer to the speed, as was Our Approval, and they've run 4th and 5th.
Yeah, some nice runs out of the race, but Toahaka, such a consistent performer. 33 starts, 7 wins, 10 placings, putting together that lovely record, picks up another valuable win. Let's get you to Otaki, and it certainly didn't disappoint. I'd have to say that this was a real highlight on the card. Platinum Attack, once again, at his dynamic best as he strung together a couple of wins, Jane.
Yeah, look, he's a horse I've always had a lot of time for, and he sort of just finished off them at Group 1 level, but I genuinely think that he's a galloper with Group 1 potential. I think he just needs things to go his way in racing. He can get, a bit travel a little bit strong in running, but he settled beautifully for Bruno. He got him out at the right time, he got him rolling, and he actually showed a really good turn of foot. He put them away very quickly in the home straight. I thought there was a lot of merit to Navigator's run. He was slow out of the barriers, got back, took a different path through runners, and was pretty brave in defeat. Navigator, I know Cody was pretty strong on his chances yesterday there at Otaki, but I have a lot of time for this horse. He's looked exceptional all preparation, and I'm going right back to when he ran at Riccarton. So he's been up a while, and he's been continued to be produced in exceptional order every time he steps out on the racetrack. He's gone back to back now in terms of winning, so hopefully he can go on with it. I genuinely think he's a galloper that's going to be able to pick up a win at Group 1 level.
Yeah, I think weight for age, and of course, that's where our big sprints are. That's going to suit him even better. Yesterday, under 58.5 in handicap company with some pretty handy horses down in the weights. As Jane said, just a fantastic effort. I think Bruno really gels with this horse. He's just, I don't know, the times he's ridden him, he just seems to have really fired with them. Interesting afterwards, how often do we see, the stewards fining jockeys for a celebration, and maybe this is the way to go forward, because I see he's been spoken to advisedly about it, but no fine. Hopefully this is the way we're going to see that in the future, because the one thing we want is consistency in that regard. Most times in the past we'd be going to see how much this fine was worth. This time there's no fine. Let's hope this is now the benchmark for celebration gestures in the future. I'm not too sure if you've got an opinion on that, Jane.
Oh, look, I think it's good for the sport when riders can show what winning means to them. I do still think that you need to bear in mind safety. So as long as they're not doing anything that puts anyone at risk, then certainly I think we can be a little bit lenient on celebratory gestures in terms of in the stewards' room. But I just wanted to go back, Aidan, to your point about Bruno gelling with Platinum Attack. If you watch the footage post-race or past the line yesterday, Bruno spent probably 100 metres giving the horse pats down his neck and, you know, sort of rubbing his neck and patting him. And he looks like quite an awkward horse to ride, gets his head up quite high, but does make it really difficult for a rider. But I just really like the fact that you saw that bond between the jockey and the horse, and I'm sure Platinum Attack appreciated the fact that he was getting a reward for getting the job done. But it's just nice to see those personal moments between a jockey and a rider. And look, I know that this horse means a lot to his connections too, and he's been a fantastic horse. They picked him up for very little money as a weanling, and he's surging towards the $500,000 prize money now as well. So he's been a great horse for his connections.
He has, and you think now with the confidence up, you know, when you get a couple of wins together and you are gelling with your rider and it's all sort of falling into place, that can really build momentum. So it'd be interesting to see what he can go on to do with everything sort of beginning to flow and work for him.
Lisa afterwards in post-race saying that she wouldn't consider Australia. I know she's got a team that she's maybe building towards, heading towards the Queensland preparation, but this horse has been up. He's done it for a long time, and to be fair, his best form is now at the back end of the program. Just the other horse out of that race was Navigator, who has just edged him on closing sectionals and has done it again with a big weight. But just nice to see in those types of races the cream rising to the top. I'm not too sure what you thought on the celebration.
Well, I was just going to say, when Jane said safety, I was envisaging Mikel Barcelona with the reins in his mouth and yeah.
Because you did a little video too, didn't you? You did a little take-up of all those. I've seen that.
Park that.
Go onto YouTube to catch that one.
That was, yes, a long time ago. City of Napier sprint beaten jockeys, to change the subject here on Weigh In this morning.
Look, he's run a blinder today. We had a bit of a sticky gate, and that's where we ended up in running. He's come through them lovely. He's good through the line. Hopefully a better draw next time. We'll definitely sit.
Yeah, great run, Bevan. Fresh up after a bit of a let-up today, and set outside the leader, put herself there nice and easy. She's travelled well into the straight, and obviously two pretty good horses have run her down, but she was still strong to the line.
Yeah, he's gone an absolute super race. Wasn't that clean out the barriers, and then we probably run into a little bit of trouble at the top of the straight, but he finished off really well. It was a really smart run from him.
Yeah, very happy. Been unfortunate with the barrier draw, but we got stuck free while we were cover. You know, I wasn't too angry about. She's running really well in the home straight.
A horse we didn't probably get to mention when reviewing that race was Kitty Flash, who obviously finished into the third spot.
Yeah, I thought the run was terrific, considering the race shape as well. And Andrew Forceman would be really happy with his too, because Force of Nature ran pretty well for fourth too.
Hawke's Bay Cup is the next race that we look at. It was taken out by Crouch. Jamie, go back and look at the replay here. And obviously, nice performance. Christelle having a first ride on this horse, and possible Australian campaign in the offing.
A completely different setup to what we saw in the sprint, wasn't it? Where they actually went sort of over 2 lengths faster in the early stages than standard in Platinum Attack's race, and still ran home 3 lengths faster than standard. So that was a race that rated really highly. Unlike this race, where you know, the anchors were put on coming out of the home turn, and they crawled down the back straight. And what I appreciated watching this was Christelle and the realisation that they weren't travelling at a genuine staying tempo, so he decided at the 1200 to put his horse into the race and inject a bit of speed into the race, and I think it was the winning of the race making that decision. So he followed the instructions. He had a trainer that had told him that it was a horse that would stay on. Doesn't have an enormous turn of foot, but he certainly keeps going, and he bared that in mind during the running of the race. So a pick-up ride for Christelle too. Erin Leighton unfortunately was engaged to ride the horse, but she was unwell and didn't make it to the meeting. So first sit on the horse, and he's been able to pick up a big win. And as you mentioned, Emily, looking to head to a Sandown Cup over the 3,200 metres in Australia. But I was hoping you were going to throw to me with that race, applauding yourself for putting Crouch as your Weight Watcher a couple of weeks ago off of a pretty good effort last start. Nice that you were able to deliver for our audience.
Thanks, Jane. I'd actually completely forgotten that I made Crouch my Weight Watcher. Had I remembered, I would have been shouting it from the rooftops. But yes, thank you for reminding me. Brownie points there.
Some really nice runs in the race too. You know, I thought the first two in running. I know Jane, as she's said, it was a race that did favour those on speed, but Apawa Jacks kicked pretty well. Pacifico the same, and really Tosua's Cinnamon. And then if you're looking for something that's come from off the speed, then it was Gillian, who's only been beaten 2 3/4 lengths after getting a little bit further back, and was probably one. She's going to be a lightweight chance as she gets forward. She could yet be a horse who could hit something like a Travis Stakes, Rotorua Cup, those type of races.
That leads us to a break here on Weigh In. On the back of this, well, we're going to get you across to Australia, day 2 of the championships, run and won, and we can review all of the action.
Gets a half on profoundly and after summer, and I hope he wins. Claims the Oaks double. Changing of the guard inside the 100, and narrow leader from Solar's Plain, but changing of the guard has won the Sydney Cup at Big Odds.
I can see how much it means to you. You don't often get emotional, but I can see you about to get there.
Yeah, holding it together. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll say that.
Idle Flyer moved up to Lady Shenandoah, and Idle Flyer draws away with the Queen of the Turf by 3/4. Autumn Glow's in trouble. Sir Delius, is this his big moment? Sir Delius 2 in front. Lindham and Autumn Glow do the chasing, but Sir Delius takes out the Queen Elizabeth Stakes.
The glitz and glam of Australian racing was on full display yesterday with day 2 of the championships coming out of Randwick, and some wonderful results delivered, including, of course, success for Hope He Wins in that Australian Oaks. Got a special guest on the show this morning. We welcome in to weigh in this morning, James McDonald. James, a huge week for you, a huge couple of weeks for you, we should say. Just talk us through what it's like to sort of have that all behind you and the big part of that autumn done and dusted.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful carnival, to be honest with you. They've all obviously run well above expectations. We were going in pretty confident with a really good team, but yeah, Chris and myself had a wonderful few weeks, and it was a pleasure to be a part of the whole carnival. It was a great atmosphere most of the days, and yeah, it's just been extremely enjoyable. Obviously, we would have loved to have won the Queen Elizabeth, but wasn't meant to be, but we still had a great day with I Hope He Wins.
James, Aidan here, congratulations for your success over the last few weeks, obviously breaking the record and having such a great championships as well. You mentioned I Hope He Wins. What was the confidence levels like going in after she'd maybe not fired as expected in the binary?
No, we were extremely confident actually, because her work actually had stepped up a tad. We thought Randwick 2400 would be right up her alley, and obviously with her form in New Zealand, it was there for everyone to see, to be honest with you. Like over 1.5 miles, she was exceptional in the Oaks there. And to be honest with you, with the binary, we probably we rode to win the race with no speed in it, and I don't think she adapted that well, to be honest with you. And so we reverted back to Lance and Scotty's tactics and Joe Doyle's, and just dropping her out, hoping the speed's going to be okay, and trusting her to be the strongest stayer, and that she was. But no, Chris has been really happy with her during the week. Her training was fantastic, and she was ready for a peak performance again. But yeah, it was a good thrill. There's nothing to take away from an Oaks, and she was fantastic in the AJC Oaks.
James, really interested to get your assessment of her. Obviously, you've ridden a number of very successful Kiwi-bred fillies. What's your sort of take on her and on what you expect from her heading forward?
No, she feels very good. To be honest with you, what she was doing in New Zealand probably she hasn't done here yet. I think she's still got a little bit to go. I just think she's probably on tired legs, to be honest with you. She's obviously had a long campaign, and it's just obviously the wear and tear of racing in her first preparation. So with a good spell under her belt, I think we're gonna be in for some big things. She's obviously a very strong stayer, and that was evident in the New Zealand Oaks as well as yesterday as well. So no, she's got a lot of options going forward. I still think she's got a bit of furnishing to do. So yeah, if we can get her back into that really good form, it's pretty exciting, because if she's only like 90% at the moment, or when still winning a Group 1 here in Australia, it's pretty phenomenal, really.
James, congratulations from me over what you've been able to achieve in the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, we've spoken about a Hopi win, so I need to talk to you about Autumn Glow and the Queen Elizabeth. Probably a little bit disappointing that you guys didn't get the result that you wanted with her, but what was your take on what we witnessed yesterday?
She was outstanding. Look, in a short way of summing it up, she probably didn't run a strong 2000 at that pace. Look, Sir Delius and the connections there got the tactics so spot on. As we knew, it was going to be a brutal run race, and that it was. And Autumn Glow did absolutely her best under those circumstances. I still believe, like, if it was run like a Randwick Stakes sort of run 3 weeks ago, she would have won a 2,000 metre race. But because it was so brutal from the get-go, they really pulled the gas out of her, so to speak, and took away her turn of foot, which is her greatest asset, and really stretched her. So she was gallant in defeat. Lindemann was superb in defeat as well, but you can't take anything away from the winner. He was the best on the day, and that's basically how it was run. He did all the work and dragged us up, and we still couldn't get past him. So he was a phenomenal performance. But Autumn Glow lived to fight another day. Obviously, it's extremely disappointing that her winning streak's over. But at least I suppose Chris and the connections can have a lot of clarity on where she can head to in the next few seasons, because obviously she probably won't be tried over 2,000 again. She's probably a sprinter miler, and there's so many options for her to target in the spring. So we're looking forward to that.
James, we haven't had the opportunity to talk to you since, obviously, you're breaking the record. We had Chris Waller on the show, and he was talking so highly of you and the relationship that you and him had formed. Just tell us about the aftermath of that. Obviously, an incredible achievement on Golden Slipper Day. And what's it been like since? Is it just a satisfying feeling to have got the monkey off the back? Or, I guess, just talk us through what it's been like.
Oh, nothing's really changed, to be honest with you. It's just been, well, obviously with the carnival weekend after weekend, it's hard to really sit down and reflect, I suppose. We're actually going to head away for a week after Hong Kong, and maybe that's a good time to obviously decompress. But with the likes of Autumn Glow and Lady Shenandoah, and I hope he wins, there's always one each weekend. So you always got to focus on that, basically. So we haven't really had much time to reflect. But hopefully we can have a beer with Chris maybe at the end of the carnival and reflect on what was a wonderful, extremely wonderful carnival for both his team and myself. But there's no rest here. It's like it's just all blends into one. So I'm looking forward to obviously relaxing in a couple of weeks after Romantic Warrior's done, and we can reflect then.
The 130 Group 1 wins was sort of dangling in front of you for a little while, James. So you've sort of had a clear goal set in front of you to achieve that and go past Damien Oliver. But as you mentioned, there's no rest, and you're not a rider that rests on their laurels. You're a champion jockey, and I'm sure that there's plenty more you want to achieve on the track. What is that next sort of goal for you?
It's a hard one. Obviously, that was a good target. I was sitting on 99 there for a while, and I was choking a few times in big races. I was thinking I was never going to get to 100, and now we got to the 128. I thought, oh, here we go again. Chris is going to have kittens over this, but I was glad to get it over and done with in one day on slipper day. So, and then at least the talking point was basically over. It was nice, and we could focus on the rest of the carnival because it's not very nice to have. Oh, obviously it's a good position, but it's not nice to have distractions and stuff talking about yourself. Importance in terms of trying to get somewhere where it's a bigger picture. It's obviously about the connections of the racehorse and obviously the racehorse itself. So it was a little distraction, but at least it was for a short time. The upcoming goals, look, I thoroughly enjoy. I'm pretty hungry just to keep chugging, to be honest with you. We got Romantic Warrior to look forward to. Coming up, he's another big ride, but I haven't. It's a hard question, Jane. To be honest with you, because I haven't really thought about it. Haven't even thought about yesterday. To be honest with you, it's hard to comprehend. But yeah, we'll just keep chugging away.
James, the day after you did break that record, we had Chris Wallace sitting basically where you are in coming into weigh-in for us, and he expressed an immense amount of pride in you getting to that record. We asked him at the time, and I'm just really keen to get it from your point of view. What's that relationship like, the trainer jockey with Chris Wallace?
Oh, it's growing immensely, Aidan. He's obviously a very good friend of mine. He's an unbelievable, great supporter. We've got a fantastic working relationship, as everyone can see. And to be honest with you, it's something I'm extremely proud of, to work so closely with a guy like Chris, who's very similar in how we both really approach the game. Very competitive. He's a deep thinker. He knows his horses inside out, which is like I've never seen before. And he's just a great guy to work with, to be honest with you. And like I could safely say we haven't had a lovers tiff yet, I suppose, if that makes any sense, or working tiff anyway. He's just been an absolute great supporter of mine, and as it has everyone. Like in terms of when I come back from disqualification, he was the first person to put me back on, and his support has never wavered. But I've gotten nothing but huge respect for Chris, and I thoroughly enjoy working with him. And he's a top man, as everyone knows.
One thing that's happened in the last couple of weeks as well is the release of the documentary, the J Mac documentary. I know you had trepidation going to watch it. What's the feeling on how it's come out, and what's your take on the doco?
It's okay, I suppose. No, they've done a really good job, and it's not something that I was really too into to start with, but they convinced me to have a crack at it, and look, they did a wonderful job under the circumstances, because I wasn't that easy to deal with, to be honest with you. I'm obviously quite reserved and didn't really like them following us around or having come into the house. So they did a really good job of accommodating Caitlin and I suppose. And they come up with a good doco, and it was enjoyable. Obviously, everyone will have their opinions, and I hope they enjoy it. But yeah, it wasn't that comfortable to watch for myself.
Well, James, we're very proud of what you've been achieving for New Zealand on the international stage. You mentioned Romantic Warrior. Best of luck with him. I know he's a horse very close to your heart, and we really appreciate your time on weigh-in this morning.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, awesome to talk to James. And as we spoke about Chris Wallace Sunday morning, after you've ridden a huge championship, so grateful for the opportunity to be able to sort of get some insight into what the past couple of weeks has been like.
Yeah, he's a champion, isn't he? And he's a guy that just keeps on making us as Kiwis so proud with the way. And look, you're talking about how long ago was it? Like he was on 99. You're talking about that. It feels like only weeks ago, and now he's on 135. So he's done a sterling job, and we appreciate him giving us us his time. Good to hear that he's going to give himself a week, to downtime, and as he said, decompress, because the pressure to keep himself performing at that highest level, geez, I know he puts a lot of pressure on himself in his preparation, and he is just a champion, isn't he?
He mentioned sort of not the goals and maybe not having a goal, but you'd have to think that the 200 is incredibly realistic, wouldn't you? Barring an injury,
Absolutely. The way he's picking them up, it's only a matter of 3 weeks ago he's on 129, now he's on 135. So that's, I know it's a time of year when there's lots of Group 1s around Sydney racing, but there's no reason why he couldn't. If he trots along between 15 and 20 a year, which he's been doing, then I think it's, that's only 5 years, maybe 10 years, and well and truly worth doing.
Incredible stuff. Well, we've got to go back and have a little look at some of those races from Australia yesterday. Obviously, we had a good touch on the Oaks, but Jane, a chance to look at it again, and I hope he wins. Back to those tactics that we saw in New Zealand, as James alluded to, has proved the winning formula.
Yeah, she just raced a little bit keen in the vinery, didn't she? Sitting a little bit closer to them, and it probably took away from her finish, but dropped out the back, able to go to sleep. And she did look the winner a long way out in this. From about the 600, I was thinking to myself, something's going to have to be really good here to beat her, because she just looked like James had a handful of her, and it was just a matter of him pushing the button, and that's basically how it unfolded. I think in terms of the place getters, the form has held up around races like the Vinery and the Adrian Knox. Of course, the Adrian Knox winner finishing into second, and the Vinery place getter into third. So the form's held up throughout the carnival in terms of the 3-year-old fillies races, but take nothing away from I hope he wins. Fantastic result, particularly from New Zealand and for Waikato stud.
The one concern there, and obviously congratulations to the Gartshaws as well, who are behind in the breeding there with Hope He Wins on that, was just, whether she might come to the end of it. Like as James said, it has been a big preparation. She's, run Group 1s in each of her last 3, but she's run that last 635.15, which is half a second quicker than anything else in the race. So she's been terrific, and maybe now they can look towards things like the Caulfield Cup and races like that. She does look like a horse who could well come back in the spring after a decent break, but she's high class, and great to see her flying the flag in Australia.
She is. It's so hard to come back, isn't it? We've seen it time and time again, the Jewel Oaks, but the Jewel Oaks attempt, but fingers crossed she can come back as a 4-year-old and deliver. Let's move on to the Queen Elizabeth, where Sedelius caused an upset. True staying contest, 2,000 metre battle, and it was Sedelius. He's talented. He came out on top, Jane.
Yeah, and I think James summed this race up absolutely beautiful in his summation. I don't think anyone could say it better than he did. It was just run at a torrid pace. When you've got a front-running horse like Lindemann settled back last, you know that the speed's on, and Sedelius sat right in behind that speed and was able to kick clear. He was just superior at the 2,000 metres. Light infantryman, a little bit disappointing. The Australian Cup winner, he didn't really go on with it. Autumn Glow was really brave. Lindemann was absolutely fantastic from the tail of the field, but Sedelius is a very, very good horse. We saw him in Victoria in the spring, where he was able to pick up a couple of Group 1 wins. He was the leading contender heading into a Cox Plate in a Melbourne Cup before scans ruled him out of the Victorian spring, and he's come back in Sydney. He's run third in a Very Elegant, third in a Randwick, and he's been able to deliver yesterday. But look, I do believe that the Victorian rules certainly have their place in terms of those veterinary scans. It's seen much better results in the Melbourne Cup, which is certainly what we need. But I guess disappointing that it meant that we didn't see him fulfil his potential in the spring. Hopefully he can go on with it now.
Totally agree, Jane. I totally agree on that point, and I think that those rules have got to stay in place like that. He did look to have the Melbourne Cup at his mercy, but Gay and Adrian took it on the chin, put him out for a spell, and he's come back. Obviously, if there was something there, they've given it time, and obviously time is the biggest healer in everything. He's come back with a couple of trials leading into a third in the Very Elegant when he chased home Autumn Glow. I think what we saw yesterday was a really strong 2,000 metre race where he was able to show that he was the best stayer in the race. He's such a good horse, and great to see this for Sir Owen Glenn, who's you know, his contribution to New Zealand society is massive. He loves his racing. Obviously, another horse in the race which has run 5th or 6th as well. But you know, this is, you know, you see him in the post-race pictures we had on trackside yesterday. He's in his wheelchair. But the delight he gets out of this, and he's, you know, he puts his money in. He's obviously a man who's got a bit of money to throw around, but he obviously not afraid to be investing in racehorses, and we're the better for it, watching his horses and a horse like this perform at the highest level. As you guys have mentioned, it's a shame to see, you know, an unbeaten horse lose that record, but you know, you've got to play at the top level if you want to be taking on the best, and they did that.
Yeah, and they've, I guess, got the answer to their question, which was, will she go a strong 2,000 metres, and sort of answered.
I don't think they'll regret it. I don't think
No?
they'll ever regret it. You know, if maybe if we'd say in the Queen of Turf and won that, you know, we're unbeaten and your reputation is more intact. I don't think that's kind of the case. I don't think she's taken too much of a knock on her reputation after yesterday anyhow.
No, totally agree with you. Let's get to the Sydney Cup. We talk about Kiwi success, and Jason Collett delivered in this Group 1 feature. And Jane, it was a very well-judged ride and a bounce back to form for Changing of the Guard.
Yeah, you've stated that perfectly. He executed it brilliantly, rated the horse well, and punters probably weren't happy when he crossed the line, but Jason Collett certainly was, so it was a great result. I thought there were some brilliant runs in behind, and Solar Spain is the horse that I thought went enormous, settled back last, relaxed just beautifully, and I thought it was one of the best beaten rides of the day with Tommy Berry. He came up the fence, he barely went round a runner, and he almost got the job done on the line. So Highland Bling, terrific run from the Felix Stokes trained galloper as well. River of Stars a little bit disappointing. He sort of got put in the race when there was sort of no speed on, and he really didn't find it in the home straight, but Changing of the Guard, terrific result for Chris Lees, who had a great day on the track yesterday. Terrific to see Jason Collett riding Group 1 winners, and Solar Spain's definitely a horse I'm going to be following.
The Jason Collett factor is beauty. We had James McDonald on, and he's a guy who in his career has been so much in James's shadow. When James is winning his apprentice titles, Jason's running second. When James has gone to Australia, he's got his apprentice title, then he's followed him over there, got the connection with Chris Waller, won at Sydney, you know, won some decent races in Sydney. That's his 9th Group 1. And, you know, a Kiwi jockey who's, you know, we've got to be so proud of what James has achieved, but I think Jason Collett is such a talented jockey, and I was just wrapped for him yesterday.
Yeah, it's a tough place to make it, Sydney, and he most definitely has. Queen of the Turf was the other Group 1 feature, and this one was taken out by Idle Flyer. And Jane obviously worked quietly through the grades, but got a very well-deserved Group 1 win for Maddie Smith.
He's a great trainer, Matthew Smith, and there's been a bit of noise around for this mare for a little while, Idle Flyer. They've believe that she was certainly up to this sort of grade. I know post-race yesterday he sort of said, I didn't actually think we could win the race, because there were certainly some queens of the turf in this, with horses like Pride of Jenny and Lady Shenandoah, Treasure the Moment, but when she loomed up to them, she just didn't look like she was going to get beat. I thought Lady Shenandoah was really brave. Pride of Jenny, we heard prior to the race that she was certainly going to be sent, and she was. She died a little bit on her run. Treasure the Moment, again, a good run into third, but Idle Flyer, she's picked up her Group 1, and she's lived up to the potential that the stable thought she had.
She sure did. Very well-deserved victory there. That wraps up our action from across the Tasman on day 2 of the Championships. All Age Stakes Day will be next Saturday. Jane, we do have a little surprise for you on weigh-in. Obviously, your last weigh-in with us, and we just wanted to highlight, recap, enjoy some of your wonderful moments with us here on the show.
Yes, indeed, a new day, a new time, and a new team on this brand new weigh-in for a new thoroughbred season. I'm Guy Havell, great to be with you. Jayne Ivil, great to have you with us this morning, especially on to wrap a Group 1.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be in everyone's living rooms on a Sunday morning.
Jayne Ivil, look, if I'm honest, I was quite scared of you when I first met you for the first few weeks, but mate, you have been an absolute star to me. You've been a bit of a mentor. You've helped me learn so much in this industry. I appreciate everything you have done for me and for this show and for this whole trackside team. Going to miss you a lot, but go well in Australia. We'll keep in touch.
the Pilates has really helped him in what he's done and that recovery and how he's used that to strengthen.
Are you a Pilates fan?
No, I'm not a Pilates fan at all.
Jane and Aidan, are you a Pilates fan?
Yeah, that's a hard no from me. Exercise and myself don't really go too well together.
Whoever said you were opinionated, Jane, eh? Yeah, we're going to miss that here. Obviously, going to enjoy that you're still going to be putting some shifts in from Melbourne, but as always, it's just been a pleasure working alongside you. You've gone to another level. I know racing.com sort of helped that along the way, but you've been terrific back here in New Zealand, and that's real credit to you and the way that you've conducted yourself professionally. We wish you all the best in Victoria again.
Jane, passion, enthusiasm, great knowledge, professionalism. Don't ever lose that strength of conviction and the opinions. Love it. We're going to miss you.
He's only the second horse to win a Group 1 Railway and a Group 2 Awapuni Gold Cup. The last horse to do it was in 1938, so nearly 90 years ago. So that just sort of demonstrates his versatility.
How did you find out that info?
I did.
See Jane up till 1 o'clock in the morning going through the history.
It was not my research. I've certainly ripped that off from something that I've read.
Jane, I've said it to you many times, but it has been such a pleasure to work alongside you over the past couple of years. You're so good at what you do and you make everybody around you improve. But most importantly, you've been a friend to me, and that's been so special and so important. And I've really valued our friendship and your support over the past couple of years. I wish you weren't going, but I hope you have the best time over there. We'll be cheering you on here in New Zealand, and any time you want to come home, you know where we are.
Hey Jane, Sween's here. Just wanted to say best wishes as you head back to Australia. It's been a pleasure working with you across the last couple of years. I really enjoyed this year when you really got into that birdcage stuff in the aftermath interviews. I thought you were awesome at that, but we knew that already. Great to see you back with your young kids heading back to Australia. I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure you'll make every road a success. As always, Jane, cheerio from me.
Oh, we've thoroughly enjoyed that, Jane. Looking back, and actually makes me quite emotional. No doubt you too. I know you're going to be popping up on our screens. You're not going anywhere. You are going to be part of our coverage, but we're not going to have you here in New Zealand, and that's the important thing. But yeah, we wish you all the very best. As you heard from all of us, we don't have much time, so we are going to move on with our moments of the week and our Weight Watchers. Apologies. But Jane, I guess we can start with you. Hit us with what you'd like as your moment of the week.
Oh, I just think the last week of Amber Riddell's been exceptional. She's a hard worker, she's a real talent, and she's certainly putting wins on the board. So watching that has been fantastic. So Amber Riddell for me, and I cannot believe that Guy Havelt was scared of me.
That's just my moment of the week now. It was a fantastic tribute to Jane too. For me, it was really cool seeing her Hopi Wins come up and take success in the Oaks yesterday. And yeah, that's one that we can hang our hats on as Kiwis as well.
Mine's a little bit of an odd one. It's Sodelius winning the Queen Elizabeth, but I think seeing Autumn Glow beaten, whilst it was obviously disappointing to see a wonderful mare like that beaten, it just only adds to what a remarkable achievement some of our other greats, the likes of Winks. You put Autumn Glow in the same conversation as Winks, and then something like that happens yesterday, and you realise really how much we should appreciate those incredible horses that just put together the records like she did. Weight Watchers, your chance to put a horse in the black book. Let's talk about that. And Jane, we'll start with you.
She's a hustler, fourth yesterday in the Group 1 in Sydney. She's been a phenomenal mare by Ace High. I don't think she's finished out of sort of the top 4 now in her career, and I think she's one that's going to pick up a big win this preparation.
I was really keen on Kitty Flash going forward. I thought it was a terrific return yesterday.
Yeah, and Sotono Glow was pretty unlucky at Randwick yesterday. Actually, a half to Kitty Flash, so a bit of a family connection in the Weight Watchers this weigh That wraps up Weigh In for this week. We'll be back same time next week. Jane, we've loved your company and we wish you all the very best as we say goodbye here on Weigh In.
Yeah, well, it's been terrific to be part of the team. I appreciate you all, and I will be still contributing from Melbourne, so I look forward to that.
Alrighty, we'll say goodbye. A very enjoyable Sunday. We will see you same time next week.